Hey everyone, it's your girl Monica Leigh, and welcome back to another episode of the Drive Thru Podcast. For all of my return listeners, thank you for always for sticking by, pulling up, and tuning in. And for all of my new listeners, welcome, welcome, welcome. So let's just get right into it. Can we talk about people who cannot read the room? And 1 second before anybody gets offended, let me go ahead and include myself in this conversation. Because listen, we have all had a moment. You said something, you sent something, you responded to something, and approximately 4 seconds later, your brain went, yeah, maybe that wasn't the move. Because there are few things more humbling than realizing in real time that you have completely misread the situation. And sometimes you don't even realize it in real time, okay? Sometimes you go home, then you take a shower. You get comfortable, get in the bed, and then your brain decides, hey, remember that thing you said at 2:17 this afternoon? And we say to ourselves, why are we revisiting this now? I was having a perfectly good evening, but now I'm lying here staring at the ceiling thinking, wait, was everybody quiet after I said that? Yes. Yes, Monica, they were. So today we're talking about those moments when we probably should have paused, looked around, gathered maybe a little more information, and read the room. Because sometimes the room is practically screaming at you, and somehow we still miss it. So let's get into it and pull up. There are levels to not reading the room. And level 1 is probably the most universal, saying the wrong thing. Not necessarily something mean and not necessarily something offensive, just the wrong place, the wrong time, the wrong audience. You ever start telling a story and halfway through you realize this story is not landing where it should, but now you're committed to it, right? And that is the worst part, because what do? Do you stop halfway through and say, you know what? Never mind. Because now that's awkward and that makes it weird. So instead, you just keep going. And every sentence makes it worse somehow, right? Like now you're talking faster because somewhere in your mind you think speed is going to save the story. And it won't, or you try to make a joke and nobody laughs. Yeah, there goes that silence, right? Because there is a regular silence. There is a regular silence. And then there is the silence after a joke that didn't land. Those are two completely different silences. And then somebody gives you that little courtesy smile. And you know the one I'm talking about. Not because it was funny, but honestly because they care about you. Almost like, thank you for your service. Here's the thing. Reading the room doesn't mean you have to become this overly cautious person who's afraid to say anything. It's really about awareness. Who am I talking to? What's happening around me? What's the energy right now? Because the exact same comment, it can be hilarious in one room, and also it can be completely inappropriate in another, because timing does matter. Context does matter. And sometimes silence is actually an option. I know, right? It's almost revolutionary when you think about it. But now that we have laid that out, let's move what I call into dangerous territory. Text messages. Because before texting, if you said something ridiculous, there was at least a chance people would forget exactly what you said. Now, okay, documentation, receipts, screenshots, timestamps, and now, I like to say it as your foolishness now has an archive. And there is a very specific feeling that happens when you hit send. You look at the message, okay? You look at the message and immediately think, no, not maybe, but no, like the no with a capital N and a capital O, okay? Like, no, like come back, like, wait, what just happened? And suddenly you're tapping the screen like somehow your finger can physically retrieve the message from the other person's phone. And yes, some apps, as we all know, let you unsend now. But is that better? If you think about it, is that better? Because sometimes that's actually worse, that you have already initiated a text, it's been sent, and now you're thinking, maybe I shouldn't have sent it. Let me just go ahead and unsend that. Because now the person sees Monica unsent a message. Oh, great. And now to the other person that you were sending that intended text to, now they become curious. Now you have created a mystery, and you know exactly what I'm talking about because we've all done this, okay? It becomes a mystery now. So you've got curiosity. Now they're trying to figure out what it was that you sent and becomes a true mystery. And don't let it be a long paragraph, okay? Because whenever you send a paragraph, especially while being emotional, yeah, you should probably put the phone down first. Go walk around the house, drink some water, fold up some laundry you forgot to do literally anything, okay, at this point. Then come back and ask yourself, do I still need to send this? Because sometimes you reread what you wrote 10 minutes later and think, who wrote this dissertation? Because we all know we do have some of those people that, listen, English journalism was where their strength lies and continues to be a strong point right now, currently in their life. So we know what they're capable of writing and saying, but we don't need, and nor do we have time to be reading all of that. So who wrote this dissertation? Because apparently you had a thesis. There were supporting arguments. There was a conclusion and sources cited, all because somebody said K, okay? Like the letter K with the quotes around it. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And the tone through the text, forget it. Just forget it. Somebody says, okay, O-K-A-Y, okay, what? Are we okay? Are you mad? Is this passive aggressive okay? Is this I'm busy okay? Why did you put a period after it, right? We have all experienced this at some point. And so now I'm conducting forensic linguistics over the word okay. Sometimes the room you're trying to read isn't even a room. It's a text bubble. And somehow, believe it or not, that's harder. Now, I do have 2 words for anyone who has ever worked in an office. Reply all. Let me say that one more time. Reply all. Why does that button have so much power? Because somebody sends an email to 87 people and one person responds with thanks to everyone. Okay, fine. But then somebody else replies, please remove me from this email chain. Sir, ma'am, you just emailed all 87 people to tell us you don't want emails from all 87 people. And then somebody responds, me too. Now we are just living in some type of a email thread hell. And eventually somebody who's been quiet the entire time finally snaps. You always have that one person where they put in all caps, mind you, everyone, please stop replying all, period. At that point, listen, you're here for it. You just want the popcorn, because the original email could have been, the meeting has moved from conference room A to conference room B. And 42 emails later, Brenda from accounting is questioning every decision that brought her to this company. But reply all is the perfect example of reading the room, because sometimes you have to ask, does everyone need my response? And the answer is usually very simple. No, they do not. They do not need to know that you said, got it, because that usually ends up popping up at some point towards the conclusion of that ongoing group email. These are just things that, you have to sit back for a while and think, my gosh, this is really the truth. This really happens. But what about beyond that? How about just misreading the entire situation? There are those moments when it's bigger than saying the wrong thing. So you have misread the entire situation. You think somebody is joking. However, they are quite serious. Then you think somebody is upset. They're completely fine. You think everybody is having a great time. And then meanwhile, 3 people are trying to leave and you're suggesting another round of activities. Read the room. I repeat, read the room. Or again, you're talking to someone who clearly wants the conversation to end. So they're backing away. Their body is physically moving toward the door, right? They're looking at their phone. They've said, well, I'm going to let you go. Twice, mind you, twice. And you're like, wait, one more thing. No, there is no more anything else, okay? They have released you. Go, bye-bye. And we all know someone who doesn't pick up on cues, okay? You can say, all right, I'm going to bed. And they'll say, oh, before you go. Yeah. 20 minutes later, you're still on the phone. Now I'm brushing my teeth with you, putting pajamas on with you. Now we're turning off the lights. What additional evidence do you require? Because sometimes reading the room is really just paying attention to what people aren't saying. The body language, the tone, the energy, and the little shift that says, this conversation has reached its natural conclusion. You don't always need a formal announcement. Nobody is going to walk to a podium and say, ladies and gentlemen, Monica would now like you to leave. Although honestly, if I think about it, that would make life a little easier. If I go back and think about certain situations that I was in or times, that actually would have probably been a lot easier. But we're talking about the present. So let's stay focused, Monica. But honestly, it would have, right? It would have made things a lot more simpler, easier. And, also what else has escalated on this topic is none other than social media. It has made it worse, right? Social media has taken not reading the room to an entirely different level, okay? Because now we can misread rooms we're not even physically in, which is crazy. Okay. Someone posts something serious. Okay. Follow me here. And here comes somebody in the comments making it about themselves. Or somebody shares good news and another person immediately says, must be nice. Excuse me. It's like, man, can we just let people have a moment? Everything doesn't require your opposing perspective. It really doesn't. And everything doesn't need a debate. There are people that speaking of coming in the comments, that's the first thing they want to do. They drop to the comments, see what the first thing that somebody says, and man, they are off to the races, okay? But everything does not need a debate, okay? But sometimes somebody shares something because they are actually happy. You can simply just say, congratulations, and that's it. You don't need to tell them about your cousin who did the same thing in 2007. You don't need to explain why you personally would have done it differently. You don't need to fact check their joy. And sometimes we have to learn that every thought doesn't need to become a comment. I mean, I have thoughts all day long, and you know how many of them need to be publicly documented? Honestly, very few. Very few. I say this because some thoughts need to remain exactly where they were created, inside. Okay? For all of us. And you know what? That's growth. Because for younger Monica, my younger me, or younger me might have said it possibly. Current me, sometimes current me types it, reads it, deletes it, and goes, look at us evolving, Monty. That counts. And it really, really does. It is true, as we get older, and not measured by age, but just how we evolve, we really get to learn things about ourselves that are actually they're very interesting and amazing as well. But sometimes we are also the ones who actually missed the cue, okay? Now, here's where I have to be fair, okay? Because it's easy to talk about everybody else who can't read the room. Sometimes though, it's us. We are the problem, okay? Sometimes we were talking too much. Sometimes we made the joke. Sometimes we sent the text. Sometimes we assumed we understood somebody's mood, and we absolutely did not. And sometimes we walk away thinking they were acting weird. Were they? Or did we make it weird? That's a painful question. I don't like it, but it's necessary. And I do think part of growing up, and honestly, part of becoming more emotionally aware, is being able for us to look back and say, yeah, I could have handled that differently, without beating yourself up, without turning it into, oh my gosh, I'm such a terrible person. No, you misread something, right? Welcome to being human. Learn from it, but definitely apologize if you need to. And next time, just maybe take an extra second before reacting, because we spend so much time thinking communication is about what we want to say. But good communication is about noticing what is happening around us, right? What is happening around us? Is this the right moment? Is this person actually asking for advice? Or do they just need me to listen? Does this situation need humor? Or maybe it just needs empathy. Does this email need everybody? No. I'm sorry. I had to bring reply all back one more time. But you see my point, right? You see my point. And I think it is a good lesson to learn and also to continue to learn, right? Some of us don't realize certain things until that aha moment. And that does not sink in for everybody at the same time, at the same age, if we're really going to stamp a number on it. But the takeaway of it all is, so maybe reading the room is really just another way of saying, pay attention. Not because you have to walk around analyzing every interaction, okay? Because that itself is exhausting. But because there's something valuable about being present enough to notice the people around you. And sometimes the best thing you can say is the funny thing. Sometimes it's a supportive thing. Sometimes it's, I hear you. Sometimes it's, are you okay? And sometimes the absolute best contribution you can make to a conversation is nothing. Because silence, it's beautiful and it's free. And truth be told, it's available everywhere, right? Because we're all going to get it wrong sometimes. We're going to misread a text. We're going to tell the story that doesn't land. We're going to think someone wants advice when they really just wanted to vent. And yes, somebody somewhere is going to hit reply all again. But maybe the goal isn't to never have an awkward moment. Maybe it's just becoming a little better at recognizing the moment we're actually in. And if you realize afterward that you completely missed it, congratulations. Because you've just unlocked another memory in your brain that can randomly replay at 2 a.m. in the morning 5 years from now. You are most welcome, if I must say. I want to end by saying, if you have ever said the wrong thing, sent the text, replied all, missed the cue, or walked away from a conversation thinking, why did I say that? Welcome. You are among friends here. Okay? You are among friends here. But make sure that you send this to somebody that you think might need a little reminder or maybe just a first-time lesson. So, as always, I appreciate you all for pulling up, and make sure until next time that you stay connected on all platforms and take care of you. And I will see you next time, same place. Be well, take care, and I will see you soon. Bye.